Howdy, folks. Let's go ahead and reveal who is behind the overlay, and it's me, Rosendo from MLH. How's it going? We're getting things underway. If you're excited to be at Global Hack Week, Data Week, let me know in chat. We've got a great surprise for you today. It's going to be an excellent workshop. It's going to be something that I think is near and dear to all of our hearts that are here attending Data Week, and it's going to be how to actually wrangle data from a spreadsheet and turn it into a cloud application. So if you read the event description, you will know what I'm talking about. If not, you can go ahead and read the event description at the link that is scrolling across the bottom of the screen there. Make sure you check in and register. Yeah, let us know what's going on out there. Let us know where you're joining from and tell us what it is that you love about data in chat so we know who it is that we're talking to. Once again, my name is Rosendo from MLH. And without any further ado, I want to introduce our friends from Oracle, Jason Haynes, who's going to be here teaching us how to do exactly what it is I said earlier, just play with some data and turn it into a cloud application. So without any further ado, I'll go ahead and bring Jason up on stage. Please give him a warm round of applause, y'all. All right. Hi, Jason.
Hey there. Thank you, Rosendo. Hello, everybody. Ready to go ahead and get started then? Guess I wasn't clear on the prompt, Rosendo. All right, I'll go ahead and get started. See, everybody has joined. Got a number of people in the comments in the chat. My name is Jason Haynes, and I'm an Oracle Apex product manager. And today we're going to be talking about how you can build an application from spreadsheet data with Oracle Apex. Oracle Apex is so much more than low code. In fact, I'm going to show you how to do all of this with no code at all today. The whole idea behind Apex is you can get started as a beginner or as a citizen developer and start building very robust world-class applications that are available on the internet from anywhere that you have an Oracle database set up for this particular purpose. There are many options to where you can start using Apex in terms of what instance or what website URL you use. Apex is not just one website. Apex is so much more than that. And today we're going to talk about a simple example, a use case of how you can build an application using spreadsheet data. So Oracle Apex is Oracle's strategic low-code application platform. It's also known as the world's most popular enterprise low-code application platform that's for custom application development. It enables us to build scalable and secure AI-powered apps optionally with world-class features. And the whole idea is to do this at least 20 times faster with 100 times less code compared to traditional high code development. If you've ever done Java, ever done Python, ever done just raw HTML with CSS and JavaScript, you're going to appreciate what you can do with Apex with so much less effort and being able to deliver these apps with so much robustness and capabilities out of the box for virtually no cost at all on top of Oracle database. The big message here for you all is apex.oracle.com. Apex is always uppercase, not mixed case or lowercase, but everything about Oracle Apex can be learned for your perspective from apex.oracle.com. You can also start for free today, any day, on this instance. This particular instance at apex.oracle.com hosts our customer evaluation instance. So you can go here, click this button, and request a workspace. When you request a workspace, you are then able to create administrator credentials for that workspace on this instance, and then start developing applications, maybe adding other developers to your workspace. And as soon as you hit save with any of the changes you made to your app, a URL is available that has it basically in production and ready to go. So you can essentially work on your changes in your app and just hit run or save and run and see in another tab the effect of making all those changes to your app. And that's what we're going to exercise today. But it's important for you to understand that Oracle Apex is available everywhere. You can use Apex from Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, where you can utilize the Apex service that's available there. It's extremely low cost. Now, remember, I said it was free, a free feature of Oracle database. It's a no-cost feature of all Oracle databases. But in order to actually access it, you need that infrastructure. You need an account somewhere. And we do have always free Apex service as an option on Oracle Cloud and always free autonomous database. But in terms of organizations that are using Apex for their low-code or their custom application development, in most cases, they already have a tenancy in Oracle Cloud or in any other cloud where Oracle database is. But don't forget, That also means that customers have Apex available on premises through their Oracle databases that they have on premises. Maybe they have databases in their own data center on servers and bare metal machines, or they have a mix of some stuff on premise and some stuff in cloud. But also, Apex is available also in other clouds as well, including Azure and even Amazon and even Google. Wherever Oracle database can be deployed, Apex can be made available as well. So understand there's a lot of opportunity here. There's a little bit to learn in terms of what configurations are necessary, but I'm going to make it so simple for you today. You're going to really appreciate this, I think. Just understand that Oracle Apex is a fully supported, no-cost feature of Oracle databases, regardless of where you're using it from. So I'm going to switch over to my browser. And in my browser, I have, give me 1 second here. There it is. My tab is already queued up to apex.oracle.com. You can see you can start for free today. And it is really a matter of just doing a free sign up to get a workspace on this instance. But you can also get an account with a tenancy on Oracle Cloud or also on premises. But for those developers on the call that want to do more, you can also run Apex in a virtual machine that you can download with Oracle Database 23 AI with the free VirtualBox appliance that allows you to spin up this entire stack of technology and ready to go on your device, whether it's your laptop or your desktop alike. You can run all of this entirely within the confines of your device, not even needing internet access. So I already have a workspace. I'm going to actually sign into my workspace and show you what this is all about and how to go about building an application using spreadsheet data. But understand that we're not limited to just this data. This is just a super simple example. From the homepage on our apex.oracle.com website, we do have a learning tab. And in the learning tab, there's something called building your first Apex app. If you're to go and do this independently, you're going to be doing exactly what we're doing today to get you started. We also have other labs and tutorials that are summarized. I'll get into this a little bit later, but this does come right into play where you end up going to Live Labs, which is an Oracle endpoint where you can see a whole bunch of different Oracle labs that also include Apex as the platform. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and show you the fact that when we're talking about using this particular time to build an application from a spreadsheet, we're going to be converting our spreadsheet into a Collab app using Oracle Apex from this QR code or that website right there you see in the bottom left. This QR code should take you right to the spreadsheet lab on the Live Labs platform that Oracle hosts. There are many different labs here, but we're just working on this particular one. And I'm not going to walk you through every detailed step. I want you just to explore what I'm doing. And then when you do the lab yourself, you'll be able to see all those details and follow them line by line and get exactly what you see in the lab. I'm going to be a little bit more loose on this and just show you the general approach. In our live labs, we really try to make an effort in these live labs to walk you through the very basics of using Apex as a platform for building these applications. So let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully by now you've navigated already to the spreadsheet lab. And what that looks like is this particular page right here. This page gives you an overview of what Oracle technology is for free and in terms of learning how to use it on Live Labs. It talks about the workshop, gives you a little bit of an outline, and you can also start and utilize the opportunities of Live Labs to run on a sandbox or to run on your own tenancy. For this particular case, I'm going to use apex.oracle.com because it's just so quick and easy to do. These are just other ways you can build on the technology stack that you have access to on your own. You can also click share right here. That's the QR code exactly to this particular link of this workshop that I already shared in the PowerPoint. Having said that, when you navigate to starting, it looks like this. The labs are all organized with an introduction. It talks about what the whole purpose of this and what our objectives are. So the idea here is that in about 45 minutes, if you're to follow all these steps, you'll end up with the same app that I would be ending up with if I showed you all the steps. They're very detailed, but the high level is we're going to create an app from a spreadsheet. We're going to improve something called faceted search. We're going to improve the report and form that is on the particular app that was built, and we're going to add a map region. And in doing all of this, you're going to understand how you can use Apex yourself to build apps on any type of data you wish. The one thing to understand in the getting started is the getting started does talk about the various options in where you can get a workspace for exercising these steps. So Apex service is option 1. Option 2 is autonomous database in Oracle Cloud. Or option 3, which I'm going to exercise now, is where you can sign up for a workspace very, very quick and easily on the service right now. And what that looks like is when you hit start for free today and free sign up, you end up with this particular form you fill out. And when you fill this form out and request a workspace, you end up with, and I'll show you here on your screen. Let me see if I can bring up Chrome. I have another tab here, and you end up with an email that looks like this. And this email will say that the workspace is approved, and then you'll click on the Create Workspace button. In clicking this button, that's when the workspace gets created and when you start actually being led down the path of signing into the workspace and creating credentials for you to access it as an administrator. But I've already done this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit sign in. Hopefully you can do this in the time that I'm speaking so that you have your own workspace, because I encourage you to follow along. So when I sign in, I'm now presented with an opportunity to type in a workspace here. My workspace is MLH-JKH. When you request a workspace, you'll have an opportunity to define your own. Now, this is a shared instance across thousands of users and thousands of workspaces, so you might have to be creative in the workspace you choose to create, but it becomes your workspace to exercise here on the customer evaluation instance of Apex that we host at apex.oracle.com. But if you choose any of the cloud options to pursue in the cloud tenancy, you'll end up with your own URL, and you'll end up with full control over the entire Apex instance running from that Oracle database. So in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and sign in with my credentials. I'm using a password manager. And when I sign in, I am now in the Apex integrated development environment. When you log into here, that we describe this as logging into your own workspace. And in doing so, you have access to different tools that are essentially modules within the builder. So we have App Builder, we have SQL Workshop, Team Development, and the Apex Gallery. Now, you'll probably jump into the Apex Gallery later when you want to explore all the sample apps that are available for you to install in your own workspace. But what we're going to exercise more on today is just using the App Builder in Apex. On a new workspace, when you go into App Builder, there will be no apps listed because you haven't created any yet. But as you build apps from scratch or install them from the gallery, you'll see a list here in a report where you have multiple apps that you can exercise. Now, this is as a developer, okay? This is not what an end user would see in terms of an app that you've built. The app that you had built would have its own sign-in screen. It would have different ways of approaching the sign-on process, and you can configure any of that as you wish. But from a very basic starting point, I can just hit create. And in hitting create, we have many options in how we can create an application. And this is handled all right in the workshop. So this is what it's all about in creating an app from a spreadsheet. When you've logged into your own workspace that you've requested, regardless of how you've done it, whether it's through Oracle Cloud Infrastructure or the other methods using the Live Lab Sandbox, once you're logged in, we're going to look at this particular lab 1, which gives us these high-level tasks. There are 3 tasks where the first step is to load the high school data, because the actual topic of this particular example of data is working with high school data, which is all available to you from a spreadsheet. You can download spreadsheet data from anywhere on the internet, open data, other websites. You may even have access to data that you've acquired from any internships you've been doing or any work with employers you've been working with. You can then take this data and load it into Oracle database here, where you create what we call a table object in Oracle database, and then we can start building the application. I'm going to try to avoid showing you all the detail behind all these tasks, but there are screenshots that walk you through all the steps. But what I know we need to do next is we need to go ahead and load this high school data following these particular steps, and the actual data used in this sample is shown right here. You can download it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this link. I've now downloaded this high school's data CSV, and this is what we're going to exercise in this particular set of steps. So when I go back to create application in Apex, I can create an app from a file. Now, one thing I just want to talk about is Apex does support AI services, but this is a brand new workspace I just configured, and there is no AI service tied to it yet. So I'm doing things manually. The whole idea with Apex is to be able to use your AI service. So if you have OpenAI, ChatGPT configurations, you would actually be able to configure those services in an Apex workspace, and then you'd be able to create an app using AI. Then you'd be able to use some other AI features. But that's not the focus of today's particular session. But I will lead you to where you can go next to learn more about that after we've done this particular demonstration. Here I can create an app from a file, but I'm going to go ahead and just give it a name. I'll load an app from file. I'm going to choose my file, and I am on a Windows machine. And here I will see that I have my downloads. And within downloads, I should see the high school file I just downloaded. So here, this is where we're giving Apex an opportunity, and let me zoom in on my screen a little bit, to choose a table name to load this data into. So I do have a workspace, which is also tied to a schema in Oracle database, and I want to take this data from the spreadsheet and upload it and insert row by row this data into a table called schools. I'm not going to make any other changes. I just type schools as the table name. I see that Apex has already understood the spreadsheet data that I dragged to it, and I can choose load data. In choosing load data, all these rows are loaded. I can see a table called schools is created with 427 rows. And immediately I have an option for create application. And this is what we want to take advantage of in this case. We could view the table and the table structure. We could make changes to it if we wish, add other tables. But here I'm just jumping right to create application. This particular screen we now see is something we call the Apex blueprint process. And the blueprint process allows an Apex developer to make some choices. We can customize the look and feel with different homepage icons, application icons. We can change the appearance. The defaults are to build an application using something called a Vita theme. And the Vita theme is bright and white, but maybe we want to do Vita dark, or maybe we want to use red with light. Maybe we want to change the default navigation instead of side menu to top menu. All of these are options you can initiate right here by making a few changes. I'm not going to make any changes, however. I do want to draw attention to the fact that I could add more pages into the list that is already here. This blueprint process has already decided for me that there will be a home page, that there will be a dashboard page. The dashboard page will have charts, and there will be another page called a faceted search page. And this is a world-class feature available in Oracle Apex where you literally just point a configuration to a data source, such as that table schools or high schools. And then in creating the page, faceted search options will be another component put on the page that you'll see that will interact with a report. So there will be two Apex components put on the page that are interactive via the magic of JavaScript and the beauty of CSS on top of the framework of HTML. And all comes together very quickly with no code at all. Now, remember, I mentioned Apex is a low-code platform. That's really a marketing aspect to it. You can do so much in Apex with no code at all. It's truly what makes Apex a pleasure to work with, to start with proof of concepts. But then there is the learning curve to learn about all that low code. And just also know that in Apex, you can use high code with other third-party plugins or even other code that you develop for the particular purpose or other third-party APIs as well. So Apex brings all that together if you want to. In addition to the school search page with a faceted search, another page will be created with another Apex component called an interactive report. And in doing so, there will be another page created called a form page. What this will illustrate when we see it working is full CRUD. Create, report, update, and delete. But as Apex developers taking advantage of how this works, we don't have to worry about all the code behind making it work to get it started. We don't even need to know how to write SQL queries. However, learning all of the above is definitely a benefit for you, learning how to use Apex moving forward. If we scroll down, there are other features we can install out of the box. I'm not going to choose any of them right now because we'll come back and add some of these features later. You can make all these changes later, but we have opportunities for enabling the feature called installing a progressive web app, which would then put a button on your app so that your users could choose to install this app on their device. We could also enable the functionality of push notifications and so much more just by a checkbox. But these can all be added later. So at the defaults, these pages will be created. I'm going to choose Create Application. Having clicked that button, this process of building out these pages can quickly be done by you in less than 30 seconds. If you have access to that data, you upload it into a table object or multiple, and then you just tell Apex to build a blueprint from this particular process, and then an app can be built. And now we see the app has been built. There are 5 main pages represented from the blueprint process. There is a global page, and then there is a login page, because by default, all Apex apps you build from scratch are secure, unless you choose to go behind the scenes and make edits to that and improvements to your app for any particular purpose. We immediately have the opportunity to hit run application, which I'll do in just a moment. But just understand that compared to high code is where you would be in your text editor like VS Code, and you'd save files file 1, file 2, file 3 with whatever extension might be responsible for translating the purpose of that code. Maybe it's a Java app, right? And you have .java text files, and you later then have to compile that to a class. You don't have to do that in Apex. In Apex, when you're editing pages or creating pages, it's created with what we call metadata. And that metadata is saved in the Oracle database. And as Apex is a feature of Oracle database, the visualization and interpretation of all that metadata configuration is what we call declarative. And it declaratively is something we interact with as developers to customize the page. But at the end of the day, it's all about requesting a page by a URL of that Apex instance. So when I hit run application, a new tab will open. And this URL is what is identifying my app. It's identifying my app named Schools within my workspace. And this app is ready to go. And I'm right looking at my sign-in page, which is going to use by default my credentials that I use in creating this workspace. So the fact is I created this app. It's already in production. I just have access to this URL and gave it my credentials, and I'm able to sign in. In signing into the app, again, very simple example. Everything we see here can be customized, but I see I have navigation on the left with the hamburger menu. I can see a few of the pages that were indicated by being created of the blueprint process. But at the bottom, I do see this bar, and this bar is what we call the Apex Developer Toolbar, but it is only visible because I'm simultaneously logged into Apex in another tab. Generally, as you sign into an app, users will not see this toolbar. Now, this also gives me as a developer the way to use the app and exercise all the pages. And then if I choose to want to make edits or changes, I can quickly click on one of the developer toolbar buttons and begin editing or making changes or even customizing. And I'll get to that in just a few moments. Let's navigate to the dashboard page. So when I click on that menu navigation, I see 4 charts. It's interactive. I can see there are tooltips, but these were created automatically with no code. And it's a starting point. You can then go back and make any changes you wish, which I'll be doing in just a bit. If I now navigate to the school search, the school search page is combining a faceted search component on the left with a report component on the right. So I can scroll down and see there are a lot of these details here, and we call these facets. As I click these boxes, I can then filter my data quickly. These boxes ultimately have statistics that have been computed in real time. This one request in the web browser went to Oracle database and Apex, and based on the configuration, returned this functionality we see, but it's all ready to go. I can sit here and choose different filters. I can even choose to search on a keyword like king, and then have all these records filtered down in real time. So essentially, we just built an application. It's all done with no code at all, and it works on desktops and mobile devices alike. It's fully responsive. In fact, if I resize my screen, you'll see what it would look like on a mobile device. So the whole idea that all these templates and themes are responsive bring out the power of Apex, where you can build an app once and it can be used on a device of any screen size. So moving forward from here, I do know I have another page. This page is a school's report page, which facilitates full CRUD operations. So the difference here, although it's a report, it's a much more powerful report for your end users. There are many columns shown here. I can scroll down and see there's a lot of data that is shown. It does have a button for create for creating new records, and it does have an icon in each row that allows me to edit a particular record. Important to understand though, there's an actions button. And this actions button gives you even more options as an end user out of the box available to you and your users with no extra code from you. That's one of the richness features of these components in Apex that are world-class, where you can do a lot of things on top of this data that you would normally want to do in Excel. But it's all within an Apex app. And as an Apex developer, you can control the UI and the user experience. In this case, all the columns are shown, but maybe I want to decide only certain columns should be shown. So let me go ahead and decide I'm going to take all these columns and not show them and simplify my report. In doing this, I see a simplified report. I do have the ability to sort by school name. I can change sort orders. I can also add filters. I can also do other things like aggregations and computes, but I can also create charts. I can do group by. Maybe I want to group by borough. And in New York City, schools are organized in boroughs. I can see what's going on here, but maybe I want to embellish this. I can go and customize this to a great extent. I can even do something we call a control break. Maybe I want to do a control break on borough. And it gives you an idea where this is Borough Bronx. Here's all those schools. And as I scroll down or paginate through my data, I will see other boroughs such as Brooklyn, Bronx, and so forth. And all this happens from an end user's perspective, simply exercising the features of an interactive report. When I'm happy with that particular report design, as an end user, I can even save the report. But I am in as a developer, so I can save this as a default report and I'll make it primary. And if I made other changes, showed other columns, did other aggregations, maybe some column highlightings, whenever you hit save as a user, that becomes your private report. But as a developer, I have the ability to give users even more public reports that they might have. So I see a quick question. So Apex is basically a website builder application and no code. That's the tip of the iceberg. Apex allows you to use all these world-class components with no code to get started, but then you can go behind the scenes and customize every bit of it to a great extent. So the use cases are far and wide. I mean, if you wanted to build an app like Instagram, we have a hands-on lab that does that called building a social media app. So there's just so much more you can do with Apex. You can build apps in Apex that are for enterprise. Think ERP, think healthcare, think all kinds of different usable functions and features that you already do on your mobile device today with various apps. All those things you can build with Apex. It's just another way and another approach, but on top of Oracle database. And you can customize every bit of it. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a few moments. To close the gap here on this interactive report, I can also allow my end users to download data. I can also allow them to create a subscription so that maybe every Monday morning at 9 a.m., an email is sent with the latest report of this data. All that is capable from this one component. If I want to create a new record, an end user can click the create button and I see a data entry form that is simply organized with all the columns. Now I can customize this as well. From there, if I decide I want to edit a record, maybe I want to edit Wings Academy, I click on that record with this edit icon, and I can see now the same form, but it was populated with data from the database table in real time. And I can make edits and then choose to apply changes. So this is just quick and easy out-of-the-box functionality. And yes, if you want to go back to apex.oracle.com, when you go to learn, the other approach to doing this is to utilize building your first Apex app. It'll walk you through all the steps, but the workshop itself goes into greater detail, teaching you how to use Apex with a lot of different customizations that I'm going to continue to work through here over the next 15 minutes. All right, so back here in App Builder, I've seen that I've got the full credibility in my app. It looks good, but I want to start making some changes. So if I go back to the dashboard, one thing that's quick and easy to do just to show you is what if you wanted to choose my theme or add some different color settings. When you click on customize, you can go to something we call theme roller. And in theme roller, you have the ability to change the theme from among several themes that are available. You can go and change global colors. You can go and choose different color states. All of this can be customized easily, and you can even use custom CSS right here if you're familiar with that. What I want to show you, though, is let's change the theme to Vita Dark. The Vita Current is what we see, the bright white and dark, but just choosing Vita Dark means, boom, the whole web app has now been reskinned in dark mode. So if I go to school search, I have the same app, but it has a different look and feel. All of this has been handled with no code at all. And that's what makes Apex the amazing thing that it is. And yeah, Apex is completely free as a feature of Oracle database. So you need Oracle database somewhere or a hosted service that makes it available to you. I'm demonstrating all of this on apex.oracle.com, which is our customer evaluation service, which you can start for free today. You can also do this in Oracle Cloud. All right, so let's start making some other changes. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to go back to light mode. It's a little bit easier to see when sharing the screen. So I'm going back to light mode for now. You can customize this as you wish. I do see that I have a variety of facets. I have this report. If I go back to my navigation and go to the dashboard, let's start making some edits and some changes, just so you get a feel for how this works. So we know that these 4 charts were created as part of the blueprint process, but they're automatic, and I may not find that these particular charts are suitable. I have this method chart, for example. Maybe this doesn't seem suitable at all, and I want to delete it. And maybe the neighborhood chart, instead of being a bar chart, maybe I want that also to be a pie chart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go behind the scenes and show you how an Apex developer can interactively configure these options declaratively further with no code. I can use the developer toolbar to jump very quickly to editing page 2. So now what you're seeing is something we call Page Designer. When Page Designer loads up, it's divided vertically in 3 sections. I'll make this a little bit wider. As we do, we'll see different titles in the buttons. So we have rendering. This is the rendering tree of all the page components and then nested features within. There's something called dynamic actions in Apex where you can declaratively configure dynamic actions that trigger JavaScript to do all kinds of amazing things on your app. There's also when you submit the page, what processing happens, and so much more. Beyond that, in the middle, we have the layout. This is a high-level layout view of all the components on the page. And then we have what we call here the component drawer, where we have all the different region types that you can drag and drop onto this page, different item types, and different buttons, every which can be customized even further with more declarative options and even low code. I'm going to collapse this to hide it. You see that there are a lot of components on this page and there are a lot of positions. We call these slots, and these are just where you can place various components on the page. I'm going to simplify this for our needs. And some of our hands-on labs or workshops walk you through these different features of Page Designer. Here, I'm going to click Hide Empty Slots, and I'm going to show you, this is the 30,000-foot view of these components laid out on the page. What happens now is as I navigate between clicking on each option, which is a region, I now see on the right different region properties, and there are many. And of all these properties, many are shared across different components that you can put on an Apex page, having to do with security, whether it's read-only, etc. And as you choose from within these region parameters, in this case, method is defined as a chart. It could be any number of other components in Apex, but I then have different attributes. And the attributes here, I see this particular chart is defined as a bar chart. And there are other options in here that we can customize. Well, I'd said, let's delete the method chart. So I click on it and hit the delete key. And I see there's a neighborhood chart still above it. It is type chart. I click on attributes. Instead of bar, I want it to be a pie chart. So just by making those few changes, nothing else, I can hit the green save and run button. This is now saved back to Oracle database. I'm switched over to the tab where the app is. The request is remade back, and I see the effects of my changes. So every time I hit save, in effect, those changes are saved in production on this instance. So that gives you an idea of how we can interact with building pages in Apex. Further, if we look at the fact that we have all this data, that the spreadsheet data, I know that there are columns having to do with latitude and longitude. So that makes me understand that I can create new pages, not just interact with the configurations of all these pages. If I navigate back to the top level of this particular app, here are those pages, but I do have an option for creating page. So when I hit create page, I now have an option of what design pattern I want to choose in terms of building a page, which will kick off a wizard where I just answer questions. So here I'm going to choose map. I know I have latitude and longitude in the data. So by choosing map, it makes it pretty easy. I'm going to call this New York City Schools map. I could just call it map. Oops. Let's do it this way. Fat fingered as we go. And I'm just going to point to my data source called schools because I created it in the purpose of doing this demonstration. Now, this is where it could be a REST endpoint. If you've got data, third party and other databases are available on the internet, you could define a REST source and then map it here or map it to any component that you use in Apex. What you can also do here is instead of doing source type table, you can do a SQL query. So if you're familiar with SQL and Oracle SQL, this is where you can do more complex joins and add more columns that are got, built-in features of aggregation and things like that, because SQL is very powerful. But I'm just doing it based on the table. Simple. The navigation is that's default. It's going to create a breadcrumb and use navigation and create a new entry. When I hit next, I'm now brought to a page where I configure the features of this map page. And in doing so, I get to choose how I'm going to render my data. In this case, for my data source, I know I have 2 numeric columns. So all I need to do is map those columns of data, which are the latitude and longitude, to the latitude and longitude used by this map. In terms of those points to be put on the map, I want a tooltip, but I don't want the name of the borough. I want the name of the school. So I'm just mapping. And I want to create a faceted search page next to this map. And then hit create page. Having done this, I'm now brought back to Page Designer. It's a little bit different than when I was looking at the charts, but I do see my breadcrumb region. The fastest search is on the left. I do see that it's defined to use a filtered region called the map, and that's this region here, and it's based on the table schools. So literally no code still, no query. If the app's already had this page added to it, if I just switch tabs and go back here, I don't see map because I haven't reloaded the page, right? But if I do reload it, I now see a new option for map. I can now navigate to this map page. And based on those configurations, this world map is showing all this data on that particular map with the tooltip for the name of the school. And the fastest search is wired to allow searching and filtering. And maybe that's not good enough. We want more facets. I don't have any facets defined here. So we continue to use declarative features of Apex to make this even better. If I go back to Page Designer, the way it's set up, I see my left column has the faceted search. It only has the search box, but I can right click on facets and create a facet. The way it works in Apex is every time you create a new item, it's prefixed by the page number. So this is P6 or page 6, and I'm going to call this borrow. I know there's a column in this data set called borrow. That's the label. I can then define the list of values, and I want distinct values. Now remember, this faceted search is tied to the map filtered region, and that map region is defined based on the school's table. But just the simple act of adding this, I now have the ability to just hit save and run. By doing save and run, I'll see it refresh. I now have this facet. So I can see that my search term King means King schools, there are 7 in the Bronx and 1 in Brooklyn. But I can go ahead and clear this out. I can even do the opportunity of showing a chart just based on that data there. So here they are, all those different boroughs shown by their numbers. No code required to make all this magic work. And that's what makes Apex so much fun to get started building any app solution you want to have work in a web browser over the internet. There's a lot of customization options here. You can add multiple facets. You can group them, collapse them. It's all covered in the workshop as you go through the other steps. So for example, lab 2 in the workshop, you're going to be enhancing the facet search, configuring collapsing facets, and even filtering facets. So I'll leave that to you to explore and experiment with how all this works. Further, back on the app, if we go back to the school search page, this is just a standard report, but maybe this is not the kind of data we want to see in our report. There's so many options here. Let's go ahead and click Edit Page 3. So now I've navigated away from the new page 6, which was mapped, to page 3. And I can see that this one is organized with the search, facet search on the left with a variety of facets. This was automatically done for me by the blueprint. And I can see that this is my school's report, which is a type classic report. But we can do so many other things. There's something called a cards region. I think cards region looks nicer. When we choose cards region, not much happens. In fact, if I hit save and run, we're probably going to find that this doesn't yield a desired result. If I hit save and run, I switch tabs and the report reloads, but I don't see anything useful. That's because when we dynamically switch region types, we then need to go into attributes and start making customizations. So here, the way it's laid out, we want to identify maybe a primary key. We want to do a title. So we're mapping columns for the title. So in this case, it'll be school name. Maybe subtitle should be borrow. We could do a body. We could do a secondary body. We can do an icon and a badge. We can even add images, but that's all I'm going to do right now. I hit save and run. I'll now see the effects of those changes. And this is all the records that are reflected from my facet search. These are all called cards regions. And you could easily embellish this to make it nicer and use different color schemes. You can change the number of things that are shown and build out further with all the functionalities that you desire as you start building out all these functionalities using Apex. If you later decide you want to add other features, like for example, there's no PWA option, which is what we call progressive web app. We have the ability in Apex today to give users the ability to install their apps on their devices. So instead of worrying about using a URL, it becomes an icon on their desktop. But this app doesn't have that ability because I didn't enable it when I used the blueprint process, but I can add it in after the fact. So if I go to Page Designer, go to the top level, instead of just creating page, I have other tabs here. Besides components, I have features. And one of those features has to do with push notifications, email reporting, feedback, and even other options that have to do with administration. But there is no PWA option here. So there are other features within Apex that become buried, not buried, but within other levels within configuring Apex pages for whatever they do. And what that has to do with are shared components. So you have all these individual page where you can configure all the different components to do various things, but then you can define different feature functions in shared components. And when you go here, you'll see that you have a lot of different options and customization, a lot of things you can set up. Like, remember, I talked about REST endpoints. This is where you configure REST data sources. But we also have functionality for progressive web app for the user interface. So when I click on this, I delve deeper. If I want to make it installable, I just flip a switch. I can define some other options in here having to do with progressive web app, and I can also enable push notifications from my app. But each one of these new features is something that you have to learn about and how to invoke properly and maybe even customize with further low code. But just by making this one change, let me make sure I got here. It's installable, full screen, enable, do that. We don't have any push notifications, enable. And I don't think we're going to delve into more functionality that we need here. But the point is, you can customize all of this after the fact. You can do this from the progressive or the functionality that you have in the blueprint designer and from any of the wizards. And what I did expect is to see the button up there, but it didn't show by whatever I just missed. The point is, though, this is all covered in the actual lab. So adding a map region and installing PWAs down here. And it walks you through all those different steps where what ends up happening is you end up with a page that looks like this with an install app button, where when the user clicks this button, you can then allow them to install it on their particular device. So what I've shown you here today is a quick and easy way to start building apps from scratch. It's very easy to build these apps as a proof of concept, but you can take them in any direction to offer all these rich features. I see signing out and signing back in. I now have the install app button. So this gives you an option of what it would look like. All right, coming back to my PowerPoint here very quick to round off what I've discussed here today. We have various other new hands-on labs on our apex.oracle.com website. This QR code goes to the various hands-on labs, but they are all live labs. But this is a curated list of live labs that have been built by the Apex product management team. And although this is just a simple example, let me switch back to apex.oracle.com to show you. You can do the building your first Apex app and following the steps here. It's exactly what I've done for you in this particular exercise. We do have that workshop, but when you're on apex.oracle.com, you can navigate to labs and tutorials. And at the very bottom, the spreadsheet lab is here. This is what we just exercised together. We didn't do all the steps, but you'll get an idea of how going to Page Designer, you can customize all of this as you wish. But if you're interested in AI, I suggest you jump into the Build an Innovative Q&A Interface Powered by Generative AI workshop. This workshop walks you through the process of how you can add these functionalities to your app and also see some of the features of Apex utilizing AI to improve the developer's experience. Just understand that you will not see the ability to use AI to build an app in your Apex workspace until you configure your workspace for AI services. And when we do this at the workspace level, generative AI is an option here, and you'll see I have none. That's why I've not been able to see the options of how to build an application using AI in any particular form. But once you do add an AI service, maybe it's OpenAI, it becomes extremely easy to add functionality to your app. So if I chose an AI provider like OpenAI, there are several supported, including OCI Generative AI and Cohere, but OpenAI just requires you to add your API key right here. When you do this and enable Used by App Builder, that is when you'll see the functionality of being able to create an app using generative AI, and that is when you'll see the opportunity of being able to use AI in some of the code editors throughout Apex. But the point is, the workshops that are available on apex.oracle.com jump you right into that and exactly in how to configure it. So it looks very similar to the other workshop, building an app from a spreadsheet. So it takes a little bit more effort. There's a little bit more involved in setting this up, but this is where you'll start being able to add AI features to a similar app, just like the New York City Schools app we built from a spreadsheet. So That's this particular lab here. If you want to grab that QR code, it's quick and easy to start doing the same sort of thing I just demonstrated. But being able to add AI requires you to bring your AI service. So as you know, generally AI is not free. So if you have an OpenAI account or an OCI tenancy, we have OCI Gen AI. The workshops walk you through how to do all of that. I have a few minutes now available for Q&A. Let me look back through the chat here and see if there's anything I can help answer. And just to be clear for everyone, I'm from Florida in the USA. I didn't make an effort to tell you that, but I'm in Florida. I do represent North America, but I'm one of many Oracle Apex product managers on the team. I've been joined by Paulo Conzel. He's in Brazil, and he's new to the Apex PM team, and he's been answering some of your questions. Okay, so I see some workspaces were requested. So what happens is the email gets sent, and the default in the queue for sending out emails is like every 15 minutes. So all those that have requested a workspace on apex@oracle.com, you should have already been able to click the link in the email that begins the process of creating the workspace. If you don't click that create workspace button in the email, your workspace will not be created. And in fact, it expires after a day. Let's see who else got a question here. Okay, good. And again, this is only one option. You could do it all from Oracle's cloud. You could do it from any other third-party cloud as well. As long as you have Oracle database, this can be set up. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, I'm formerly a .NET and a Java developer, but I started using Apex in 2006, and it's changed my life. It's changed the direction of my professional software development career, and I genuinely love building apps in Apex to show people how easy it is to become an Apex developer. Now, it's not for everybody. I get it that at the end of the day, not everyone wants to learn SQL, not everyone wants to learn JavaScript, but those things are not necessary to build an app out from scratch, but they're definitely helpful going forward as you learn how to build bigger apps that are more capable. And I think that brings us to the end of the different questions. Remember, you can still go through the workshop at your own pace. This one here, build an innovative Q&A interface, or even the spreadsheet lab. And again, this was just a simple example. Every major feature of Apex literally could take up better part of an hour or 2 hours in explaining how it works and all the different ways of being able to use it. Can we use Docker to install Oracle Apex? I know that some people have, Kubernetes even, but we offer the Oracle tool for building out apps in that capacity, which is, so back here in apex@oracle.com on Start for Free today, this complete image is our virtual machine where you download this 6 gigabyte file that you then use with VirtualBox to deploy Oracle Database 23 AI with Apex 24.1. And the middle tier, which is known as ORDS, Oracle REST Data Services, is the web server for Apex. And yeah, for AI, you need an API key to be able to leverage the AI features in your Apex apps that you're building out. And the workspace will exist for a period of time. If it's used often, it's going to be there pretty much forever. If you let it sit and ignore emails telling you that it's been inactive after a period of time, on apex@oracle.com, it would get purged and reclaimed. On your Oracle Cloud instance, that's your own instance, so it never goes away. But if you're using anything that is on the free tier of Oracle Cloud, pay attention that some of those resources will also be reclaimed, or your database will be shut down automatically on the free instances. And yes, one other question, does this work for iPhone and Android apps as well? Any modern web browser, whatever this app is running from, this URL could be used in Safari, in Edge, in Firefox, it doesn't matter. They all should operate uniquely or very much the same. You should expect the same experience. There are some features that are different. Some PWA features don't behave the same as they do on from iOS to Android, but that's included with a lot of our sample apps and explaining. So if you go back to Apex, I'll take a moment to show you the gallery. I was making changes here. So back in the gallery, we have a whole bunch of sample apps. You can install any of these in your workspace. And once they're installed, you can run them and see how they work. And you can even go behind the scenes into Apex Builder and start making changes or learning how certain things were done. And that's very useful in the case of the sample charts app or the sample maps app. If you want to do business process automation or workflow, Apex offers visual workflow as well. And this particular sample app explains a lot of that and shows you how that works. We do have some starter apps that are ready to go out of the box, like a customer management app or an opportunity management app. We even have Strategic Planner, which is another great app. These are ready to be installed and used in your organization with very minimal effort in terms of configuring it. Okay, so that brings me to the end of my time, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this opportunity to build an application in Apex from spreadsheet data. I hope this gets you excited about what you can do in your future. Apex is a largely used opportunity of building custom apps across the world of various organizations, whether they're financial, government, small business, and even nonprofit organizations use Apex to build apps, and some of them are internal, right? But also many of them are external as well and public facing. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about a public facing app, I recommend you go to the Apex Ideas app. The Apex Ideas app is an app that was built in Apex to demonstrate how wonderful it works in a mobile device environment, and also how it demonstrates advanced functionality of making an app work in any browser, in any device. So this is just a beautiful app. I'm really proud of this app for many reasons. And one of them is because this is an app that I built while on the Apex PM team. It allows the community to weigh in on new features that they'd like to see in the product. And some of these ideas have actually made it into recent releases of our product. If you go here and see what's delivered in Apex, you'll see a report where in our latest release of Apex, we delivered 41 features that came from the Apex Ideas app. In 23.2, 22 features, and going back further. The point is, we're in a twice-a-year release schedule with Apex, except for this year, but we'll be back on schedule in 2025. So 24.2 is coming out very soon, and we'll be offering even more features that advance the opportunity and the evolution of the platform in what you can do with no code and low code. But again, don't let this leave any sour taste in your mouth if you think it's too simplistic looking. You can do very complex things with Apex with greater ease than any other platform out there. And if you're going to go into production, for far lower cost than any other cloud platform, and with all the benefits of Oracle Cloud and Oracle Autonomous Database to boot. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. Moving on to the next session. Hi, Paulo. Do we have more questions?
We have one more question, Jason. I think it's here. MC Fern asks, is there a guide on how to how Excel sheets should be set up so that they're compatible with the app?
Well, when you're building an app from scratch, it doesn't matter, right? It's just whatever the columns are. You just need column names that make sense, right? You don't want to have sentences for column header names, but as long as they're pretty straightforward, then when you create an app from scratch, that's what will be used in building out the actual data model. So just to show you here an object browser from SQL Workshop, in bringing in that app, am I still sharing? I think so. I'll see that particular table. This is what happens is this list of columns that were in the spreadsheet were used to create columns based on a particular data type. And that's how the data was inserted right from the spreadsheet. Now you could change this later. You could build out even a more complex data model, if you will, and then build an app after where you have, foreign key relationships across multiple tables. There's other tools in the SQL Workshop that make building your data model very easy, like using Quick SQL is another tool in here that allows you to build out your data model with shorthand syntax. But ultimately, to answer the question, just take your spreadsheet, build an app out of it, create that table object that's got all the data, and then maybe think about what you want to do differently in terms of your data model design and your app design from there.
Awesome. Well, thanks again so much, Jason. I know you've got to run. Just for everyone's context, Paolo and I are going to remain on stream. If you have any additional questions that you'd like to ask, thank you so much, Jason. This has been a great session from you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rosendo. And Paulo, thank you so much for helping out the Q&A. If you have anything to follow up with, please let me know. But again, community, you are all part of the Apex community now. So if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're only happy to help and ensure your success using Apex and whatever the capacity is. Maybe you're just experimenting or learning, or maybe you're literally working on something for your next organization or job. All right. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye, Jason. Honor and a privilege. All right, folks. So looks like we have a couple of more questions that are kind of trickling
let's take a
into
look.
the chat here. Absolutely. Let's see here.
Which use cases Apex is better than writing using from scratch like Go or React? Well, I would say that in most cases, especially when you need something that is standardized, because one thing that I learned, and hello guys, I'm Paulo from Brazil. My wife is behind me. Yes. And I've been working with front-end development and now local development for the front end for the past 12 years and low code for the past 5 years. I would say then that to use React or Go, it is better when you need something highly customized, and I really mean highly customized. Otherwise, if you can create a standard, like I'm gonna work using this format, having everything set up as components, as templates that you can just drag and drop and create most of it quickly, it's the way to go, because most of the users won't even notice any performance, if at all. Don't know if I answered that one correctly. Can you guys hear me well? Yeah, cool. Let's see. Awesome. By the incredible, great session. Do you guys suggest using Twitter or YouTube to watch those streams? That's a good idea. I have no idea.
I could jump in here. I would suggest watching it on Twitch, because that's where the majority of the folks that are watching do come in. But yeah, we do see your questions coming in from YouTube. So whichever platform at the end of the day that you are most familiar or comfortable with, that should be fine. Sour Patch Kids asks, is this being recorded so I can access it later? Yes, in fact, it will be recorded, and the recording will live on our YouTube channel in perpetuity. If you want to go back and look at all of the instructions that Jason was providing regarding the live labs spreadsheet, definitely watch the recording, follow along at your own pace. And if you have any additional questions, you can reach Paolo, Jason, and other folks from the Oracle team at the Ask Oracle channel on our Discord server. So make sure that you check that out as well. If you have any questions throughout the week, people will be there. And at the very least, someone from the MLH team will be able to triage your question for you and get a response in time for you to complete whatever challenges you're currently working on.
Cool. Let's see. Any more questions, guys?
It looks like we are closing in on the end of questions here. Yeah, once again, I just want to say, Paolo, thanks so much for joining us. And shout out to your wife for joining us on the stream as well, inadvertently. Everyone, yeah. Oh, it looks like we have one more.
How's the pricing for Apex? Yes. It's free. Usually it's free. What you have, like, you can use the free database. Oracle Apex 21XE is free as well, so you can install it, run ORDs, and have Apex on top of it at no cost. But if you want like a commercial database, then you'll have to pay for it before installing Apex. There is also Apex as a service, which you'll start at 20 gigabytes of space for free as well, and 1 CPU. And when you move after that, then you'll have different tiers for the amount of usage. But that takes a while. In my experience, I've seen some people build their SaaS applications and have a few dozen customers, even 100, before they actually have to start paying for it.
Awesome. And it looks like Dragon Ranger asks, integration in data pipelines and ML models. I don't know if you want to kind of expand on that a little bit more, Dragon Ranger, but we may need a little more context to answer your question here.
Well, ML models, you must be talking about machine learning modules.
Yeah.
The best one to check on that is if you either go to the Autonomous database, or you get our Oracle 23 AI database, which is that is an evaluation for free at the moment. It does have over 30 machine learning algorithms, but that's a different product. The database itself is a completely different product from the Oracle Apex. Integrating to data pipelines, I'm gonna guess you are mentioning about like CI/CD. We do have a few options about CI/CD within database that you can actually make it autonomous, automate the process from development to production, moving both the database objects and Oracle Apex from development to testing to Q&A to production.
Awesome. And last question here, folks, because we are coming in on time. Nazvarani asks, can you please explain what kind of ideas we can develop, and will you be providing tasks? Yes, you are new here. That is totally fine. If you would like, what you can do is you can go ahead and check out all of the challenges that are available through Oracle at the link that I'm typing into chat right now, and I'm going to pop it up on the screen as soon as it's available. MLH.link/GHW data 1224 Oracle. So all of the challenges are going to be there. Any challenges that the challenge that you saw today being demonstrated by Jason is coding challenge number 2. You'll see that on the page there as well. There's going to be 2 different registration challenges. So those are just challenges that allow you to get onboarded into the Oracle ecosystem so that you could actually have all of the tools that you need in order to participate with the live labs moving forward. You'll see those in the coding challenges section. And yeah, basically that's all the stuff you need to know. And once again, if you have any questions throughout the week, definitely feel free to reach out to us at Discord at the Ask Oracle channel. Paolo will be there. Jason will be there. Nikki from Oracle, who you've probably seen in the chat as well, will be there. So yeah, definitely make sure to hit us up and ask those questions. I think that's all of the time we have for today. Paolo, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate all the time that you put into the workshop today.
Thanks for having me here. See ya.
All right, folks, keep it locked because we have DFAN coming up next. Mary is going to be helping them out with the stream over there, so be sure to say hi. And yeah, we'll see you soon. All right, y'all. Bye.